All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. How you living? How about
Doing
this
well,
day?
man.
It's a gorgeous day.
Beautiful
sun-kissed.
day. We got the guards, and I need to scratch and claw one. We got a couple of must-win scenarios for the Cleveland teams.
Yep.
Coming up here, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this goes. The Browns, it's been since 2017. That's the last time the Browns lost at home to the Cincinnati Bengals. 6 straight victories at home against Cincinnati, which, when you think about who the Bengals have been in that time period, especially from 2020 on, pretty incredible.
It is. Burrow talked about it yesterday. He had his availability, and there's about a 3-minute back and forth between him and the Cincinnati media about what has happened here. And I don't know if he's not as outward about it now as he was when he was a kid, and even when he was at Ohio State, but he was always a Cleveland sports guy. Like he was an Indians guy, big time Cavs guy, and then he was a Browns. I mean, those were his teams. Even though what's strange was the proximity to Cincinnati from Athens is so close, but it was Cleveland where his rooting interests were as a kid, and he talked a little bit about that and about the struggles. He talked about the matchups that have just been a problem for them. And he talked about, look, when you're talking with, it's not just Miles, it's a great secondary, but Miles is a big problem. Obviously, it's a great secondary, and they run the ball, and they always have a great plan offensively. And that's been kind of the thing. And that this has been really, for him, kind of the only blind spot in his career. Has been this franchise. Like everything else, when he's healthy, they're pretty good. Including against Kansas City. So it's like the one thing that they struggle with, and during his tenure is playing up here especially, but against the Browns in general. And it's just one of those things where, in this instance, the matchup is a tough one for that Cincinnati team, thankfully for us. All of that to be said, they will be keenly motivated, and they are well aware of their record.
They feel like this is
a must win. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you have the Battle of Ohio, 2 teams, and the loser ends up in a situation where, and if you're the Bengals, right, and I believe I have this right, you've lost to the Ravens already.
Yes.
So that'd put you at 0-2 in the division. That'd be a big hole, 2-5. And the Ravens. Who do they play this week? Baltimore. I should know this.
Baltimore is a 3.5-point favorite against Tampa Bay.
So Baltimore, if you follow the chalk, gets to 5-2. So you don't want to be in the Browns' case 1-6, and in the Bengals' case 2-5, 3 back with a head-to-head loss and 0-2 in the division. That's not anywhere that they want to be either. So yeah, this game definitely has must-win vibes on both sides. It is incredible. Once again, our injury report is so much bigger than everybody else's. Every time it gets sent out, I'm like, what is going on? But that's where it is right now. But you got some good news yesterday. Nick Chubb, full participant in practice. MJ Emerson was a full participant in practice. So was David Njoku as he gets better from that high ankle sprain. Naheem Hines, who could give a lift, I think, to this football team, he was a full participant in practice. The only people who did not practice were Ronnie Hickman, Ethan Posick, and Jerome Ford. And I think the Browns are optimistic that Posick can be back on the field today. You had Juan Thornhill limited as well. And then for the Bengals, it was just, Burrow full, DJ Ivey full, Chris Jenkins full, and then DJ Turner, their corner, was limited. But with an ankle, they didn't have anybody who did not practice. So they're full complement.
No, full complement there. For them, and inching back towards, for them, their bye week, I want to say it's early December. Is their bye week, and if you look at their schedule, if they can be 4 or 4-5, 5-4 obviously would be ideal, but even 4-5 makes it navigable for them.
So they go at Browns, home Eagles, home Raiders. So in their minds, they've got to probably go all 3 there.
3-0 there would be
or 2-1 at the worst.
Yep.
At Ravens on a Thursday night. And then at the Chargers, who are no easy out. Then they get their bye week in Week 12. Coming out of the bye, it's home Steelers, at Dallas, at Tennessee, home Browns, home Broncos, at Steelers.
So a 4-1 for them in this 5 before the bye would be, because I think you said you had 5 there.
Yep.
Would be where that gets them to 4-1, gets them to 5 and
gets them to 6-5.
6-5. Yeah. So that's kind of where. Even 5-6, I think, is doable for them. But it's 5-6 is where they want to get. For us, we can't think about that stuff right now. We have to think about trying to win a football game.
Yep.
And then trying to win another football game and stack. But it's just winning one first, and that is what the focus will be for Sunday. It is a matchup, as we have illustrated, that is one that we've been pretty good with. So it's going to take all of that. This has been obviously a lot going on this week with the trade of Amari Cooper, the return of Nick Chubb, all of that. Going to be a lot of emotions in the game on Sunday just to see Nick back out there in a jersey and a uniform and a helmet and all of that. I know I get this all the time. You get this all the time. I don't really know how to answer it, but I get this all the time in regard to Nick of, well, what do you think he's going to be? And my answer to I don't know. I don't know. I'm a realist, and I understand the severity of the injury, but I don't know. I know this. I don't ever doubt Nick Chubb, but at the same time, like, there's some finite things with the human body. So I think I don't know what to expect out of Nick. I don't know if our guys do. I don't know if Nick does until he gets out there.
No, and I was talking with Grant Delpit last week, I think, and he was saying, Nick was like, dude, I need you to hit me, because he wants to feel that. But I think that the one thing that you could look at for Nick Chubb, and you could say, okay, he got hurt as a sophomore, 6 games in 2015. That year he was averaging 8.1 yards per carry. He comes back in 2016 and plays the full year and runs for 1,130 yards, 8 touchdowns, averages 5 yards a carry. And then in 17, he was 1,345, 6 yards a carry, and 15 touchdowns. So you saw him, as a freshman at 14, I don't know how many people remember this.
I do well.
1,547, 7.1 yards per attempt, 14 touchdowns as a freshman. Then was averaging
what year
8
is that?
yards, 2014.
Yeah.
Then he's averaging 8 yards a carry. In 6 games, he had 747 and 7 on 8 yards a carry as a sophomore. Then he comes back that junior year and 5 yards a carry. So will he be, last year when he got hurt, he was averaging 6.1 yards a carry in a game and a half, basically, 170 yards. Will he be able to come back and be, 5 yards of carries he's been every year in his career? That's what we'll see. He's the only player in the history of the league to open their career with 5 straight seasons of 5 yards of carry or more. I think he'll find a way. I think he will. I think, how much – the question, I think, in the early going is going to be volume. And, talking to Kevin Stefanski, will he be on a pitch count? Will it be kind of how do we feel – the game's going? How does he feel like the game is going? So I think there's a lot there's going to be a lot, I think, that will be somewhat feel, and then I think there will be some type of a cap put on it to protect, Nick from himself.
2014. So, and I think I have this right. I think this is how it went. Todd Gurley is incredible as a freshman at Georgia in 12. He's very good as a sophomore in Georgia at 13. And then he gets hurt, I want to say, at the end of his sophomore year, and that lingers into the beginning of his junior year. And everyone was like, well, how do you replace Todd Gurley? You're not replacing Todd Gurley. And then Nick Chubb shows up.
Yeah.
And does what he does as a freshman. Gurley comes back about half. I want to say this is the way it worked. He came back and then ran for about 900 yards. Say Gurley run for 900, and then Nick Chubb ran for 1,500.
Yep.
That year at Georgia. But no, he's been that the whole time. It's just such a severe injury, and it's. I guess what I tell people is this: I say, like, if you're counting on him to steal your word, you use panacea, I use elixir. If you want to think that he's that to fix all that ails the offense, that ain't it. Now, you heard from Ken Dorsey earlier today. Not sure if we have some of that in the show or not today, but heard from him earlier. You heard from Kevin this week as well in terms of they feel like there's things that are close. They feel like there are things in the Philadelphia game that give them optimism. And so we'll see if those things can come home to roost on Sunday.
You need them to, right? Like, you need them to. This is in many ways, this is it, right? This is all she wrote. So you've got to find a way to build on, the second half from Deshaun Watson, the beautiful ball on the deep over to Jerry Jeudy, who ran a great route on that one to create separation. You need to build on the fact that I thought you were able to run the ball fairly effectively in that game.
Yes.
With, Pierre Strong, and my guess is this week it'll be kind of a tandem of Pierre Strong and it will be with Nick Chubb. You need to build on all those things. You got to get David Njoku going. We haven't really gotten him going to this point. I'm excited to see Jerry Jeudy. I want 10 targets a game for him. I think you get Jerry Jeudy 10 targets a game, you're going to get a very productive wide receiver. We're going to need Elijah Moore to show the form that he showed against the Jets last year when he was thrust into kind of a true outside receiver type of a role. We're going to need Cedric Tillman to show some promise as a second-year, third-round guy. We heard in the offseason so much about him that he was playing so much faster. Everything was so good. And so far on the season, that's amounted to 3 catches for 9 yards. Not good enough. And he's got one run for -5 yards, which was last week. So I think this game, you need it all. And this team is not going to go anywhere of substance if this offense continues to play the way that it has. It doesn't even matter. None of it matters. No. So this is all about, can you get this offense at least on a trajectory, right, where you're going upward significantly. Like, I don't think you win this. I know that the game against the Giants wasn't a high-scoring game. That felt like an anomaly, just a weird game.
It was, yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes
you better score. You need to get over 20.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I would say even in more than that. Yeah.
I agree with you. You're not going to get that type of performance out of the Bengals offense 2 weeks in a row. All right, coming up next, it is a matchup day. We'll get you both sides, the matchup, our offense versus their defense and vice versa. Jim Schwartz will be at the podium here in about 5-10 minutes or so, and we will carry that for you live. Those are your hot topics of the day, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. We're off and running. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in 850 ESPN Cleveland.
that play wasn't very good.
You're down.
They had a man indicator. There was traffic on the other side, and we didn't anticipate that play. And we got that play earlier in the game, so that was disappointing. I expect more from our corners. Our corners. We challenged our corners to improve their play for us. I've been very strong in saying that I think our corners are the best group in the NFL. We haven't played that way so far this year. We played that way in spots, but that's not the game of football. You have to be consistent. And, you look at some of the plays. Denzel made a great play on a deep ball to break it up, and MJ made a really good play breaking up a pass and stuff like that. But then we just give up those 3 plays. Now, Greg Newsome's at the end it's a little bit of the situation. It's 4 minutes. You got your safeties close to the line of scrimmage. You're daring them to throw the ball because, an incomplete pass for the offense there could be catastrophic. And I thought Greg's coverage was good. It was just, great players, sometimes come down with plays. But the other 2, either our technique was bad, thought Martin lost at the line of scrimmage, and then it was too much to catch up late on that touchdown. And then, the other one, we just didn't have very good awareness of what goes on in that situation. Anytime you're a man team, there are people going to try to double move, people are going to try to isolate, and then people are going to try to traffic you. And you got to have answers for all of those. And just the awareness of where the traffic is was sort of our greatest disappointment. But we expect a bounce back game from our corners. Like I said, I think that's a really, really good group that hasn't been playing really well. And, a little bit like us on defense, that's the way we've been playing. We've been playing really good at times and not so good at times. Our corners lead us, and for us to get where we want to go defensively, they need to get back to playing consistent football the way that they have in the past.
Answer for why it's been like that?
Everyone's been a little bit different. Like that play. Some of those plays are, might be a technique. Some of them might just be, life in the NFL. Great player, great throw, great catch, good coverage. All that. And then some, like I said, technique and awareness and, just different things like that. But it's not just coverage. I think we have to tackle better on the perimeter also. And I'm not saying anything to you guys that I haven't already said to them. And that's a prideful group, and I expect them to bounce back.
Well, it just hasn't had much luck against the Browns, but what do you see from him since his wrist surgery a year ago?
Yeah, the tape looks really good. And, it's interesting when you watch the tape offensively, it doesn't look like a 2-4 team. The opener, they had a couple turnovers in the red zone, and that sort of kept their points down. But you see a lot of points on the board. You see a lot of playmakers. I think the biggest thing for him is in the past, every play was the play to game, and he was holding the ball and he was taking sacks and taking hits and, those things. And, you watch the film now and the ball is coming out super fast. It reminds me a lot of, guys like Eli Manning or Peyton Manning. He's just really good command, knows where his answers are. He's not afraid. It's the old adage, you never go broke taking a profit. He's taking the checkdowns. He's working through his progressions real fast. And then he's picking and choosing his times to run, which is mainly third down and red zone. You saw last week he had a big 50-yard run. It was the opportunity that came up because of the coverage aspect, what they were doing to Higgins and Chase. So I think he's playing at a really high level, looks healthy. And, you can just see the maturity as a player where, he has command. He's not afraid to take 3 or 4 yards on 2nd and 10 instead of waiting for that dig to come open that he might be able to fit in, might be able to go, but he's going to take a hit, possibly take a sack. We got a real challenge for our coverage and our pass rush because, the ball does come out so quick, particularly on 1st and 2nd down. So, trying to get him off the spot, trying to ruin the timing. That's a big challenge this week. And in addition to covering guys like Chase and Higgins and, all their guys.
Familiarity help, some of the struggles, just, guys, because they know the opponent, they can focus maybe more on, technique, fundamentals, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't know if that's been an issue. Anytime you play division opponents, there's not a whole lot of secrets. Even though it really seems like it's been a long time since we played, because the last game of the year last year, you guys know the circumstances with that, and then Burrow wasn't playing, so you can never throw a game out in the NFL, but that game doesn't give us a lot of perspective. So it's been over a calendar year since we've seen our matchups against their matchups and things like that, and so the familiarity with their skill players, a little bit with their scheme, a little bit with the quarterback. They'll have the same familiarity with us.
They seem to think they have a better pair of running backs for the shotgun now. What makes a running back better in a shotgun?
Well, they've been running a lot more under center this year and a lot more 12 personnel. You go back, they used to be an 11 team, 3 wides, 1 tight end, 1 running back, and that was like 90% of their stuff. And a significant portion of it was shotgun with RPO throws built into it, and just, sort of let Burrow deal. And when Joe Mixon was back there, it was mainly sort of inside zone, double team, belly zone. It sort of fit him. But, now they've expanded their run game quite a bit. A lot more traps and a lot more whams and a lot more schemes blocking. You see some San Fran influence in there with some of these tight ends moving. They even get into 2-back sets and run 2-back sets. So you can see, them using their tight ends, particularly 83, sort of the way that San Fran uses their fullback 44. And it's been effective for them, and I think it's probably kept them out of being a little bit so one-dimensional offense. But, when it's all said and done, you're trying to tailor your schemes to your players. So Mixon was a really good inside zone runner, so they made it wasn't a surprise that they ran a lot more of that last year. They're definitely a lot more 12 personnel, a little bit of 13, getting some extra offensive linemen. That's something that you wouldn't have said, the last couple of years. They're trying to establish a little more physicality with their offense.
To you and Michael Hall's debut, and was that workload kind of what you expected from him?
Yeah, it was a first game, so we were conscious about some of the snaps and stuff. I thought he made a couple of really good plays against the run, particularly at the end of the game, and had a couple nice rushes in there. It was good to get his feet wet and get him back out there after a period of inactivity. And we're looking for anybody that can help him rushing the passer, and we think Mike can.
Speaking off of that, have you been pleased with the overall amount of pressure you guys have been able to create through the first 6 games?
Yeah, probably not. It's hard to be pleased with anything when you're 1-5, right? Anything that you point out, is hollow to say, oh yeah, we're pleased with that. No, you're not. It's a win game, and our pressure rate really needs to increase. This last game was a little different. We ran a lot of blitz in this last game. And when you blitz, a lot of times you sort of take the rush out of the defensive linemen because they're running courses, and a lot of it is just forcing the ball to come out quick or trying to take scrambles away and different things like that. So might not be as much pressure in those, but that's no excuse. Our scheme and what we do is based on 4-man pass rush, and our pressure rate needs to go up. Last year we were really, really good there. Even when we didn't get sacks, we were applying a lot of pressure, and a little bit like our corners, we need to up our game a little bit in the pass rush game. Have confidence that we can. We have good players up there. We need them to get back and play like we expect them to play.
You talk so much about how the defensive line is the engine of the defense. How does Dalvin Thompson, at the center of that, kind of set the tone, and how has he looked this season?
Want me to say it again? I missed what you're saying.
We talk about the defensive line being the engine of the unit, but how does Dalvin Thompson kind of set the tone, and how has he looked this season?
Yeah, you guys know Dalvin's personality. He's an outstanding person. He's a hard worker. The biggest thing with him is he's been limited all training camp, had no presence for us because he was in the training room the whole time. And, he's on our leadership council. He's a very respected guy, and, and he's a physical player inside. And, we're at our best when we play physical ball and we play with enthusiasm and those kind of things. And, we're probably, hopefully we'll see the best from Dalvin as we move forward. He, continues to, improve. That was a tough situation, missing all of training camp and coming back and being, spotty in there. This last game was a little bit different, but, just because perimeter type plays, which, Dalvin's good on those, but his forte is those inside runs and being physical in there and being that presence for us and allowing guys like Jeremiah to be able to run clean. And, so he's an important part of it. And we look forward to getting him healthy and 100% healthy and having him back out there. Or having him back out there looking like himself. Right. Okay.
All right, there you go. Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator, live at the Podium. That is presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Also want to remind you to boost your game day experience this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet of $25 or more and get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Here's the thing with Jim that's pretty great when you have a back and forth like that. Ask a direct question, get a direct answer. And we don't have enough pressure rate. Our corners aren't quite there. Both those things have to get better. We're 1-5. There's not a lot to be happy about.
It was refreshing. It was a pretty honest assessment. And he said, I'm not saying anything to you that I haven't said to them. So I felt comfortable saying it. And I thought that was great and not wrong, right? I mean, the corners are not playing at the level they should have. We're a man team. We shouldn't be getting roasted by mesh concepts. You're going to get some mesh concepts against man. That's just man beater 101. So our inability, especially it's the second time they run the play, it was worse than the first.
Yeah.
And he was unhappy about that. And he's right. MJ Emerson tried and press on A.J. Brown, didn't quite get the jam on him, made a good job coming back, making a play on the ball, but wasn't able to dislodge it. And so it's all those little things that are kind of changing the course of the outcomes, of these games for the Browns on defense. And really, when you think about it, the last 2 weeks, you've played pretty good defense.
Yes.
And you say, how can you say that against Washington? Let me finish. For the most part, you've played pretty good defense, but big plays have been killer. You think of everything the Eagles did when they scored, it was because of big plays. Big pass to A.J. Brown, big pass to Devontae Smith. Those are the only 2 touchdowns they scored. You completely neutralized Saquon Barkley.
Yes.
And in the Washington game, it was 7 plays accounted for 280 of their yards. So you've got to do and they all count, 60-minute game. You can't say, oh, well, other than 7 plays, we were really good. You've got to be good every play.
Yeah. Yeah, all the plays matter. That's the way that it goes. So we'll do that side of the matchup coming up next. Our defense against this Bengals offense. It's coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, now's your chance to be inches away from your favorite players. They take on some big opponents this season. Field seats, Huntington Bank Field, put you up close and personal with the thrill of the game. Limited quantities are available, so get them before they're gone. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/field seats to secure your spot now. Time for, and honestly, this is the money matchup. This is the money matchup. This is our defense against their offense. This is strength versus strength, and for the details on that, we turn to only one man who is up to the task, and that is Dr. Z.
All right, let's start with their offensive line. They got a 4-time Pro Bowl left tackle, Orlando Brown. Their right tackle, Amarius Mims, 6'8", 350. Their first-round pick, 18th overall this year. He's been the starter ever since Trent Brown went down with an injury. They brought in interior guys last couple of seasons. Ted Karras and Alex Kappa are the center and right guard, respectively, and then Cordell Volson is the left guard. There really hasn't been a weak link on this group. Joe Burrow's been sacked 15 times this season. Of the ones assigned to the offensive line, there have been a grand total of 7 of those 15. Perhaps more with Trent Brown, but he's not on this list. So at least of the guys currently out there, Orlando Brown's allowed 2 sacks. Volson, the left guard's allowed team-high 12 pressures. Kappa, 2 sacks, 10 pressures. Mims, 1 sack, 8 pressures. Karras, 1 sack, 7 pressures. This is about Joe Burrow, who is the NFL's all-time leader in career completion percentage, 68.3%. What's interesting about Joe Burrow, he has not had a fourth-quarter comeback or a game-winning drive since the year 2022.
He was hurt a lot of last year, but that is
still 10 games, and he's played 6 this year, so basically in a season.
Yeah.
And here's a crazy stat that I came across.
That's really interesting.
How about this? Since Zach Taylor has been the head coach down there, they are 7-33 when trailing at halftime.
Wow.
7-33 with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You would think they are a team that always could come back.
Be able to. I'm trying to think. So they lost to the Chiefs by 1, the Commies by 5, and the Ravens by a field goal.
They're 0 for 4, I think, in one-score games.
They are. Did they – I'm trying to remember if they had a chance for Burrow to make a comeback.
Not against the Chiefs, because that was a game.
And he didn't against Baltimore either.
Baltimore was overtime.
And Commies, they never were in position because every time they would score, they'd score on top of it. Yeah. That is fascinating though. The 7-33 is nuts for that type of talent. That's
pretty. That's a fairly significant sample size now.
Is elite.
Yeah.
And to not be able to do that is pretty wild.
So you got Burrow this year, 71% completions, actually 71.6 career high, 1,578 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks, an NFL best 110.3 rating. His career, he's 31-26-1 as a starter, 68.3% completions, 109 touchdowns, 39 picks, a 100 rating. Against the Browns, 1-5 for his career, 63.5%, 1,557 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks, an 86 rating. He's been sacked 20 times in those 6 games. He has 1 touchdown rushing. He's also lost 3 fumbles, so 5 interceptions, 3 fumbles, 8 turnovers in 6 games here against the Browns. He does not have a 300-yard passing game against Cleveland since his rookie season in 2020. But he has been very good this year, and where you look, it's the best through 6 games of his career in terms of completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, and quarterback rating. Leads the league in rating. He is second with 12 touchdowns, second in completion percentage. And if you're saying, well, we got to get pressure on Joe Burrow, pressure's the way to do it. Well, this year, Joe Burrow is leading the league, averaging 10.2 yards per attempt and having a rating of 107 under pressure. And don't you think about trying to blitz him. And I think when you heard Jim Schwartz say last week was blitz heavy, this week we got to get home with 4. Joe Burrow, 139.4 rating against the blitz. That is the best in the NFL. Jamar Chase, coming off of, he's been a 1,000-yard receiver every year. He's been in the league, 3-time Pro Bowler. He's got 34 catches, 565 yards. That's second, 5 touchdowns, tied for first, 2 100-yard games. But against the Browns for his career, just 50.4 yards per game, only 1 receiving touchdown. He's been under 40 yards in both games at Cleveland, which interesting, though, to watch in this one so far this season. Chase doing it after the catch. 276 of his 565 yards are coming after the catch. It's the second highest number in the league. The Browns are averaging almost 7 yards after the catch per reception, 4th highest. So that's going to be a big thing, tackling him in space. T. Higgins, back-to-back games over 70 yards. He on the season, 20 games, 259, 2 touchdowns, and 4. He's got 2 touchdowns in his career against Cleveland, no 100-yard games, averaging just 38 yards per game. And week 1 last year, he had 8 targets and not a single catch. So hopefully the Browns are able to keep him at bay. They have a two-headed running back by committee, Zach Moss, although it seems like it's shifting now more in favor of Chase Brown, as it should. Chase Brown scored in 3 straight games. He's averaging 5.5 yards per carry. He's also got 12 catches for 50 yards and another touchdown. Zach Moss has 3 touchdowns of his own, 2 rushing, 1 receiving. And, we talk about right now Rodney McLeod's the only player on the Browns with 2 touchdowns. If you look at this team, Zach Moss has 3, Chase Brown has 3, T. Higgins has 2, Jamar Chase has 5, and Andre Yosivas has 3. Yosivas has 3. Yeah. So when you think about that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that have 2 or more, 4 who have 3 or more on their team, and we don't have a single offense player with more than 1 with the trade of Amari Cooper. So that's who they are. They are going to obviously be in shotgun a great deal. They are going to get the ball out quickly, as you heard that. The time to throw for Joe Burrow, one of the fastest in the National Football League this season. And you heard earlier that's what Jim Schwartz was talking about there. And just to give you a little number behind that time in pocket, when you look at the time to throw this year in the National Football League amongst all quarterbacks, and I'm going to have to drop it back, people who played the whole game basically this season, Joe Burrow been getting it out very, very quickly, just 2.59 seconds to attempt, 10th fastest in the NFL. So he's not holding on to it as much as he used to. And in that quick game, he's doing a very good job. His quarterback rating 109 in the quick game. When he goes and holds it 2.5 seconds or more, that's when he does make some of the big plays. His rating is 112 there, and his yards per attempt goes all the way up to 10, which is 3rd highest in the NFL when he holds it. So you don't want to give him time to hold it. You're almost better off, honestly, him getting it out early in that quick game, because it's not as lethal of a situation. Burrow averaging 6 yards per attempt in the quick game over 9 when he's able to hold it and get that pocket. So forcing the ball out quickly will be very, very important in this one. I think we match up well. Obviously it's going to, whoever's working on the rookie is going to have to get the best of, Amarius Mims, and you're going to need that interior pressure. I thought Mike Hall looked pretty good in his NFL debut. Dalvin is getting closer to getting back. Mo Hurst gave you something. Shelby did as well. And so hopefully we can do that. But, yeah, you're going to have to be sound. I think about it. It's going to take everybody in the man coverage situation. I think about Grant Delpit last year in week 1 on that big play, one-on-one with T. Higgins on a slot fade. Got that PBU. So that's going to be the matchup. They're very good. Number 7 passing offense. Number 10 total points per game, 26.2. Number 12 total offense. They have not fumbled it a ton. Only 2 interceptions is 4th fewest in the league. They're the number 5 offense on 3rd down, number 5 offense on 4th down, number 10 in the red zone. So for the Browns, this is going to be tough. Browns not top 10 in any categories on defense other than they have recovered. They've forced 9 fumbles, recovered 4 of them, which is 6th most in the league. But you're number 14 in terms of sacks, 19 in points per game, 21 rush defense, 11 pass defense, 15th in total yards. In 3rd downs, you're 13th in the NFL. Red zone, 16th in the NFL. So we have not been elite anywhere, and this is going to be a game where I think you're going to need to be pretty elite, or it's going to be very difficult against this team.
We talk so much about the pressure that our operation feels. I assure you that the pressure that they feel is even more extreme. This is their last kind of run at it with this group. This is their last run. Everybody acknowledges it with Burrow, Higgins, and Chase.
Yep.
That won't. Higgins is not he's not coming back. It's this year. Quite honest, and I don't know how compensatory what it would look like if they fall off the cliff and lose a bunch of games before the deadline. Do they make a move? Who knows? But offensively, they are fully formed. And something jumped out to me on Jamar Chase, because this is obviously that was contentious in camp.
Yep.
He felt like he was betrayed. He felt like he was going to get an extension. He said that they lied to him. So that tells me that the idea of him being there long term doesn't seem
Not
like a
likely.
good one to me, which I cannot imagine would make Joe Burrow happy. So all of these factors are kind of surrounding them as they kind of hold on, and they've lost 3 games by 1 score. This stat jumped out to me. Jamar Chase, 34 catches, 565, 5 touchdowns on that, as you alluded to, 16.6 a reception. 34 catches on just 42 targets. If Burrow throws it at him, he's catching it. And to just miss on 8 attempts is crazy. So for juxtaposition, Amari Cooper, who is now a member of the Buffalo Bills, has been targeted 53 times and has just 24 catches in those 53 targets.
Yes.
So when he throws it to Chase, they're on the same page.
Yeah, this year right now, Chase 81% catch rate, 13.5 yards per target. That's both career highs coming into the season. He was basically around 66% catch rate, and yards per target was right around 9. So yes, he is performing at an incredible rate right now, and they are very much in sync right now. Career high, 94.2 yards per game. That he is averaging. That catch rate, as I said, is a career high. The yards per target is a career high. The yards per catch, not a career high. That was 18 his rookie season when he had 81 for 1455 and 13 touchdowns. But yeah, he's been fantastic. I mean, he's doing this on 7 targets a game. 6 games, 42 targets.
That's what I mean. Like, it's not like they're not force feeding him.
And you said Amari had how many targets?
53 on 24.
And he's averaging 40 yards a target versus 13.
Versus 13.
Three times the efficiency.
Yeah. So that's the thing that you're going to contend with, and they are. You can sense it in Burrow in his availabilities when he has them. He was in a better mood this week because of the win. We actually should see if we can find. Hey, Gibbe, I want to say,
yes.
Check out either Mike Petraglia or who's the other guy that we have on down there? Jay Morrison.
Ben Baby.
Ben's a good dude too. One of those guys had a clip of Burrow answering questions about this matchup and why it's tough. And it's probably about a 240 clip that I saw this morning of kind of an exchange on why it's tough. The reason that I bring it up is we were talking about the spot that we're in, the spot that they in. This is such a critical, I mean, it's Battle of Ohio, whatever you want to call it. It's a critical divisional game for both teams, obviously just in wins and losses, but also in terms of big picture where these two seasons go. We are obviously to the point where we just need to win one game. They're only a game better than us.
Yep.
And to come up here and lose and drop to 2-5 and be tied with us in 2-5 in the division, that is so much uphill sledding that they're going to have to do to be able to get back to where they want to get to. And the thing that is frustrating, and I noticed this was Burrow, is the idea of they're doing their job, but they're not getting wins.
Yeah.
I mean, folks, this isn't – it's not a situation. Obviously, our struggles are well documented. Their struggles offensively are non-existent.
Well, that's what I just said.
They scored 25 in a loss to the Chiefs, 33 in a loss to the Commanders. They scored they beat Commies and scored got with the Commies. Panthers, they beat 34-24. They scored 38 at home. They had the Ravens on the ropes with the ball to put it away and couldn't and blew it in overtime. So they are – I guess what I'm saying is, are they motivated? Of course. They're fired up. They're ready to go. But also they are kind of hanging on by a thread in terms of why aren't we getting results for what we're doing? So I think if it goes bad early for them on Sunday, the pressure will only ratchet.
Is this about his 0-3 record?
He's talking about the struggles with the when he plays us.
Yep. I'm sending it to Kevin. I'm sending it to you right now.
Yeah, it's a back and forth. It's a couple of minutes where he just talks about the matchup and why it hasn't worked. And the thing with Joe, which is interesting, and obviously I've known him and of him since he was in high school. He is not. You're not getting a whole lot of exposition in his questions. Usually, or in his answers. Usually, you give him a direct question, you're looking at about 8 to 12 seconds on the answer.
Yep,
it's usually the way that it goes. But I've just noticed it in his availabilities all season long. I would say, sort of annoyed by how things have gone would be the best way to categorize it a little bit. And they need it. You cannot drop to 2-5 if you're them. We need it. We can't drop to 1-6 and still have any sort of roadmap for trying to be a playoff team or anything like that. And for them, for us, you look at our struggles, well documented. For them, it's like, what is going on? We're scoring all these points. We're not getting wins. We're not being clutch. We're in all these games. We're losing by field goals. We're losing at the end of games. The Kansas City one for them was brutal.
Well, yeah, right now I'm sure you feel like if you're a Bengals fan, if you had RD and their O, you had a team that's maybe 6-0.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, it'd be a pretty good matchup. Those things would marry quite well to one another, I would say. Yeah, for sure. So
I have that ready for you.
Are we ready? Yeah, let's hear it. This is Burrow on the matchup and the struggles that they've had between us and them over the last few years.
Happened once since you've been here in Cleveland in terms of getting you guys in a place where
you're down for now.
Give them your best shot.
Yeah, this is one that we need. It's going to be a very similar game to last week. Really good defense, great front, good secondary. So we're gonna have to be smart with the ball, take our explosives when they're there, stay on track, can't get behind the sticks because of how good their front is. It'll be a challenge, but we're gonna be ready for it.
Is it kind of stick in your craw maybe a little bit? You haven't won up there yet?
Yeah, of course, of course. That's anytime we haven't had success against this divisional opponent, so that's always frustrating and something that we're always striving for. So we need to go get this one.
Is there something unique about this matchup aside from maybe Miles that has prevented y'all from having as much success as you'd like?
They have really good players on defense. They always have a good plan on offense. They always take care of the ball against us, run it well. So we're gonna have to, get physical, run the ball really well, play action, and just play an overall team game.
I know that run the ball like you did last week, 47-yard touchdown. First, you're looking at the coverage, obviously. You see and you're reading that. When do your eyes drop down, or do they drop down? Do you just get a feel that they're twisting, and you have a space there, and then you're going to take it to the next level? What's your process like when you're doing that? What do you see?
It's just instincts. You know the coverage, and you see the pressure, and you know the front, and 3rd and 18, you kind of know that if you're going to get it, you're going to have to extend and make the play. And so it just depends on the situation. Certain situations I might have stayed in there and tried to make a throw. That one was a little unique, and so it just kind of depends on game situation, play situation, a lot of different things.
I know it matters every week, but how important is it getting off to a fast start this
30
opponent?
Yeah, it's very important. We know what they like to do offensively. We know what they like to do defensively. They like to run the ball and they like to rush the passer. So if we can get out on them early, kind of makes them play the game a different way than they have against us the last several years. So we'll play the game however it ends up playing out. We'll be ready for it. But just like every week, you want to get off to a fast start.
All right, there you go. Joe Burrow down in Cincinnati and the struggles he's had in this matchup. I do think the start's critical.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. 7-33 when trailing at the half, 0-2 in 2024 when trailing at the half for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think you look at how the Browns have won 6-0 in a row against Cincinnati at home since 2018. The last loss we saw was 2017, a year which you beat no one. Mm-hmm. The Browns have had a 100-yard rusher in all 6 of those games. Nick Chubb 5 times, Jonas Johnson once. So it is important. That speaks to when you heard Joe Burrow say there is the game script and the game flow. If you can get out to a good lead, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you're able to run the football, wear them down. They're not a great run defense, and we'll talk about that in that side of the matchup, but they're not. And you can make them one-dimensional and try to heat up Joe Burrow a little bit. If they have the lead and they are now not a one-dimensional offense and they get Chase Brown going and it is 5.5 yards a carry, it's going to be much more difficult. And we already know our offenses struggle in chasing. So that's not where you want to be.
No, it's not.
So, I think the start is critical to this one.
It really is. And there's so much on the line, obviously, for both of these teams. All right, coming up, second hour of the program. It is a mailbag edition of the program. Get your questions to Gibbe at Browns_Daily. We will get to those coming up at 2:30. We got your Fantasy Minute, of course, to look forward to coming up in the second hour of the program as well. And, of course, it will be headlined by the other side of this matchup, the Browns offense versus the Bengals defense. No Amari Cooper. Someone has to step up. Who could that someone be? We will attempt to answer all of that, and I can give you this as well. Howard Hanna, your official real estate provider, your Cleveland Browns. When it comes to buying or selling, you need a reliable team to guide you through the process. As the market leaders in Northeast Ohio, more buyers and sellers trust Howard Hanna to be their home team. Save time and money. Visit howardhanna.com/go Browns today. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Valley Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, it's a mailbag Thursday edition of the program. Get your questions into Gibbe at Browns_daily for Z and I. We will answer those coming up in about half hour from now. Leaf Filter, the official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. Go to leaffilter.com/GoBrowns to schedule your free gutter inspection. Receive your exclusive promo offer. That's leaffilter.com/GoBrowns. Visit today. And now we head to the podium presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. It is the All-Pro Joel Bitonio.
It's good to get
You're down 11 minutes.
back into a division game with some familiarity.
Yeah, it's a team we play, a couple times a year, and so we have some experience against them. They have the same defensive coordinator. Some film that you've played against these guys, with a lot of the other teams we've been playing. You play them every few years, if that. So it's good. Yeah, I think we're, it's our next opponent, but I think we're ready. They're kind of fighting for wins too right now, so it'll be a good challenge for us.
It looked like they got some guys back along that front.
Yeah.
How different did they look against the Giants, and what makes that front so good?
Yeah, both their D tackles had weird hamstring injuries, so they were out for 3 games or something like that each. But they both were back against the Giants. Obviously Trey Anderson's probably their best pass rusher out there, and he's producing, and then Hubbard kind of does everything for him. But they're good, man. They're all fundamentally sound. They all have kind of their own aspects, and I think when they're all out there, they complement each other well. They were pretty beat up early in the year. I think that was some of their early season struggles. So it'll be a good challenge for us.
Joel, I know you're a guy that prepares at center. So when a guy like Michael Dunn has to go in there kind of on the fly and adjust to that position, how difficult is that to just kind of get thrown in at the center spot?
Yeah, pretty tough. He's done it in a preseason game, I think. But he was preparing that, but he was also preparing to start all last week at right guard. And so there's contingency plans, every week where you're the second or third guy in. But it's tough. I've only had to do it at tackle. I haven't had to go into center, thank God. But yeah, no, it's not fun. But luckily, we're there preparing with them so we can help try and make some of the calls and work together to get things going.
You said you were excited to play alongside of him for once. How do you think he held up along in the entire game?
Yeah, Dunn? Yeah, good. Like I said, going on the road and being on silent count for the first time was a little bit tough, but I think he settled in and got us in the right protections and in the right calls most of the time. But to go in there and have to play center is a tough, especially on the road. So I was pumped for him. I love Dunn. He'll fight. He'll compete, and he gives it his all every time. So I'll go out to war with him any day.
What kind of look can Chubb bring?
Hopefully a huge one. No, he just the work he's put in. I respect him so much as a person and a player, and what he means. What it means to play football. You do it for the guys around you. You do it for your teammates, and he puts it on the line. So I'm excited to have him back there. It's always fun when you got Nick Chubb to block for.
So football's such a play with a lot of emotion. Could it really have an impact, just his presence?
I think so. I think the moment should add a little bit of emotion, just like what he's been through. I think everybody read that article. The players should be an article, and just being around him for the last year plus in his rehab. And for me, 7 years now, the type of person he is, what it means to him, the type of player he is. So the emotion's going to be there, and it's, I think, the way we use it to our advantage.
Has this been, all these injuries you guys have been dealing with on this offensive line, has this been one of the more challenging years in situations that you've been a part of since being here?
Yeah, it's very challenging. We, you have a group of guys that you think are going to be the starters, and guys are trying to rehab from injuries all offseason. They don't quite make it back in time, and then the guys that are playing start to get hurt, and you got to throw in, young guys and guys you haven't played next to, and it seems like, okay, we got a kind of stable line. A guy gets hurt first few plays of the game. So it's been a mixed bag, and it's one of those things we're trying to stabilize. We're trying to, help it out so the offense can try and take off a little bit, trying to perform to our level. But it's been tough, and we're working. I know Poe's trying to work, and Wyatt's working to get back and hopefully be out there for us. But it's definitely been a challenge.
Joe, how do you process the trade of Amari when you talk about the struggles of the offense, the struggles of the team, and you trade one of your better players and you're trying to come out of it.
Yeah, I wasn't, obviously we're not privy to that. I woke up from a nap and I just saw a few texts about it, and I was like, oh man, we traded him. So we had no idea. There was nothing like that. He was on the leadership committee with us, and we have those meetings all the time. It's part of the NFL. He's been traded a couple times now. You've seen guys get traded. He was a great teammate though for 2 years. I have nothing but positive stuff to say about Coop. He came in to work. He was quiet, but he always was work. He was always getting in the locker room with the guys. I wish him the best, and I think it's an opportunity for a lot of these young guys to step up and make a name for themselves and really have a chance to show what they want to show.
Joel, I know at 1-5 when tensions can get high, Deshaun's been kind of battle, but I know after the game when Kevin said he's sticking with him and they've maintained that, just what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's thought differently. I've told the offense we have to at least give ourselves a chance to perform. We've hurt ourselves so much with penalties, with MAs, with misalignments, with missed blocks. I don't think we can fairly evaluate what we've done. I'm like, let us play a complete game, and then if we still lose, then we can ask questions. We haven't played a complete game where we have, given ourselves a shot yet. And so we'll kind of go from there. But it's on everybody's plate. Everybody needs to step up, and everybody kind of realizes that. So it's never really been a question for us on offense.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but Mitchell Schwartz even tweeted something it's not fair to a guy like you specifically or Miles to kind of keep going down this road. I don't know if you saw this.
No, I haven't been on Twitter. I haven't seen it. Yeah.
But to have a former teammate say something like that, just your thoughts on that, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen what he was referencing, but we truly have to do our job to our fullest before we can point fingers at other people. And I think, like I said, the offense has to be. Let's give ourselves a chance. We get down in the red zone, we have penalties, we miss blocks, we run the wrong route sometimes. All these things add up where you can't just be oh yeah, if we just change one thing, we'll be good. We have to really give ourselves a chance, and then we can kind of look at it.
Why do you think the same problems have reared up and had week in and week out, whether it's the pre-snap penalties, whether it's miscommunication in critical situations, having to burn timeouts? It seems like the same problems show up every week. So I'm just wondering, 6 weeks into this thing, why does that keep happening?
Yeah, we've been trying to figure it out ourselves, because we look at this film and we're can't let this happen, and then it goes out there and happens, and I think it's part of it, rotating the guys in there. We've had a lot of young guys, we've had a lot of different people that maybe weren't expecting to play at certain points, and then it's just the ownership, the accountability of owning the plan. Whatever you can do, you get the plays, we get the plays on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday throughout the week. We have to own it, and there has to be an accountability factor in that as well. And so that's been stressed this week too. Let's own the plan, and let's make sure, if it's something, people get beat in the NFL, but you can't just line up wrong and beat yourself before the play.
How nice is it to see Jack back out there, and what do you think it meant to him to finally get back after all that?
Yeah, it was huge. He had a major knee injury as well, so he fought back hard, and then he had some little, setbacks in camp, and then when he started practicing. So for him to get out there, I think anytime, and he's been through some major ones, so anytime you have a chance to get back out there and play and get through that first game. I know he was a little sore just from playing for the first time in a while, but it was good to see him back. I was very happy for him, and I know the work he put in as well.
Joel, the record is what the record is, but what sort of opportunity does it feel like is still in front of you guys when you have, first of all, the Bengals division opponent, another division opponent on the other side of that, and obviously 10 of your last 11 games still being in the AFC?
Yeah. We got to win a game. You know what I mean? I think that's where we're at right now as a team. No one's looking at the schedule and being oh, we got 9 out of 10 against, or 10 out of the AFC and stuff. We got to just find a way to win one game, worry about this week, truly win the day today, have our best practice, and go from there.
Is it kind of a chance to get a reset here a little bit, just coming back home, first division game, all those kind of things?
Yeah, we know the fans are going to bring energy, and we're going to try and feed off that and give them something to cheer about this week. But yeah, it's the way the schedule worked. We got a lot of AFC opponents, so it starts with the Bengals. So and we're gonna get out there and and give it our best this weekend.
You mentioned the tweaks in the run game in the second half of that Washington game. Did you feel those carried over to that Philly game, and that's something you guys can stick with and build upon?
Yeah, I thought there were some positives in the run game. I mean, it still can always improve, but I think we were pretty efficient most of the time. There were some big runs and some of that mid-zone, outside zone stuff that we've ran in the past. And I think the running backs saw it pretty well. So we keep building on that, and then we can add some, play action and things off of that as well.
Brandon Graham was mic'd up this past Sunday when you guys faced the Eagles, and he was seen talking quite a bit of trash to you guys, and specifically as an offensive line. What did you make of that?
Yeah, we practiced against him twice, and I've played against him probably 3 times now, and he just doesn't stop talking. So honestly, it's just one ear out the other. That's what he does. It's who he is, and so some of it's funny, like the way he says things, but no, that's just who he is. I mean, 200 appearances, I think, for him, so that's pretty impressive stuff. He's been in the league for a long time, 2010, I think. But no, that's come to expect. He's one of the bigger talkers in the league, so we're used to that.
Is he the biggest trash talker you lined up against?
He probably talks the most. Yeah, I would say he probably talks the most. There's a few, like Christian Wilkins talk. He didn't talk as much this year, but no, he's up there for sure.
Has there ever been a moment where somebody's talking trash and they say something that you guys just can't help but laugh at?
Yeah, occasionally. Occasionally you'll get something that's pretty funny, or you get. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but in the heat of the moment, there's some funny stuff.
All right, there you go. Joel Bitonio from the Podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Time for the matchup. The Browns offense against the Bengals defense. This would be the opposite of the previous matchup we did, but honestly, where this game could be decided for perspective, Dr. Z.
All right, again, we're going to give you some defensive numbers here and be like, this is the game.
This is it, baby.
This is it. They are 30th in the league, only 8 sacks. They're giving up 25.3 points per game, 26. Their rushing defense, 146 yards per game, 7 rushing touchdowns. That's 28th. Passing yards, 210 and 10 touchdowns. That's 40. They've given up 17 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
How many touchdowns? We have 7.
Something's got to give.
The irresistible force meets the in this case,
the opposite. The
resistible force meets the very movable
object. Yeah.
They're giving up 356 total yards a game, 5.3 yards per play. They are not good on third downs, tied for 26, 45% conversions. They're not good on fourth downs, 71% conversions, 28th. They're not good in the red zone, 65% touchdowns, 24th. They allow 23 first downs a game. That's 29th in the league. The Browns, in case you were wondering, have just 15 first downs per game. That's dead last. So something has got to give. 1, something's got to give. 2, something's got to give. 3, something's got to give. Wow. You know that song?
I don't.
Let the bodies hit the
floor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's our guy.
Hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the
Huge Browns fan.
I was on the same page
Let's
as
go,
soon as
baby.
you started.
Thank
as soon as you got there, I got there. Yeah, huge Browns.
Some old ECW ties with that song as well,
yeah.
which is always a real treat. Here's who they are in terms of personnel, tendencies, all of that. They will be in base just 20% of the time, 23rd in the NFL. They'll be 72% nickel. They love Mike Hilton, the veteran nickel corner in his 8th season out of Ole Miss. He's a guy who absolutely can rush the quarterback from that nickel spot as well. So something to keep an eye on with him there. They will play the middle of the field open 41%, that's 20th in the league. 56% middle of field close, that's 15th in the league. They disguise 23% of the time, that's only 24th in the league, so not a lot of disguise. They did last week play more single high than we have seen them play. Earlier in the year, they were playing a little more cover 2, cover 4. In terms of coverages, they will go all-out blitz 1 of every 16 snaps, that's 10th most in the league. 22% cover 1, 14% cover 2, which is actually 10th most in the league. 32% cover 3, so you can see that middle of field close, 32% cover 3, 22% cover 1. That's around 12th. Cover 4, 11%, 22nd. Cover 6, 5%, 26th. They will blitz 31% of the time, 7th most in the NFL. They haven't run a ton of stunts and twists, but I would imagine they will against the Cleveland Browns. And I said they were nickel there. Position-wise, what have people done against them? Quarterbacks are completing 65% of their passes, 6.6 yards per attempt, 216.5 yards per game. They have 10 touchdowns passing, 4 interceptions, and a 93 rating. 4 out of the 6 quarterbacks have thrown for 2 or more touchdowns. 2 quarterbacks have a 100 or more rating, and Lamar Jackson is the only quarterback to throw for more than 3 100 yards against them. They're 10 touchdowns, by the way, 7th most on a per-game basis after 6 games. Running backs are averaging 105 yards rushing on 4.4 yards per carry. They have 6 touchdowns. A running back has a touchdown in 5 of 6 games. They've already allowed 2 games with a 100-yard rusher, Ramondre Stevenson and Chuba Hubbard. They've allowed 4 games with a 90-yard rusher, as you add Derrick Henry to that list and one other. Wide receivers, they've allowed 2 100-yard receivers this year, McLaurin and Zay Jones. I guess it helps to be in the nation's capital area if you're playing receiver against this defense. For the season, 12 catches, 144 yards a game, 5 touchdowns. 3 receivers have had 75 yards and a touchdown against them. Tight ends, 4.3 catches, 46 yards, 3 touchdowns. All 3 of those touchdowns by tight ends were by Baltimore. Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kohler. They've allowed 1 tight end with more than 60 yards this season, 2 with more than 50 yards, by the way. Again, both from the Baltimore Ravens. You get Nick Chubb back. Nick Chubb has been very successful against this football team throughout his career. There's some fun stats about Cleveland Browns against the Cincinnati Bengals that I will share with you right now. Nick Chubb for his career, 8-2. In 10 games, he has 903 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5.2 yards per carry. One of those games he really barely played. That was one where Dearness Johnson ran for 100. David Njoku has played very well against them, 330 yards, 5 touchdowns as well. So those are some guys that you want to see get going. And we really got to get the Chief going. You know, Chief so far this season, 10 catches, 89 yards, no touchdowns in 2 games. They said he was on a little bit of a snap count last week, which we noticed. And during the broadcast, I kept talking about, hey, it's 3rd down. I'd like to see David Njoku on the field. So hopefully we're going to see, more of that this week. But that's really the matchup in terms of stars on this defense, names you need to know when you're watching it. It starts with Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson, 3-time Pro Bowler, 3 straight. He's got 3 seasons of 13 or more sacks. Against Cleveland, he's got 3 sacks in 5 games. This season, he leads the team already with 5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 10 quarterback hits. He is tied since the beginning of 2023 with 22.5 sacks. Since the beginning of 2023, his 22.5 sacks are second most in the entire NFL. B.J. Hill is another effective player for them on the interior of the defensive line. Sam Hubbard, the former Buckeye, is their other defensive end. He's got 1 sack this season. He's got 5.5 sacks, though, against the Browns in 9 career games. Their linebackers, pair of 100-tackle linebackers, Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt. Wilson, 3 straight 100-tackle seasons. Pratt had a career-high 118 last year. Both of them can intercept the football. They have combined 17 interceptions, which is pretty wild. 6 for Pratt, 11 for Wilson, who has 2 seasons with 4. Then on the back end, you're going to get DJ Turner on one side, Cam Taylor-Britt on the other. I think the Browns can get in with some deep comebacks in this game. The safeties, Von Bell, not a great cover guy. Geno Stone last year had 7 picks to lead the NFL. And then Mike Hilton, not a great cover guy, but excellent in run support. And really, as I said earlier, he can blitz the quarterback. So it's a beatable defense. The defense has been the Achilles heel so far for this team, if we were being honest about it. As you said, you have a game that you lose, and you've lost games where you've scored 25, 33, and 38 this year. And the conversely for the Browns, the offense has been the Achilles heel. You know that you have not scored 20 in a game. You've lost games in which the opponents have scored 21, 20, and 20. So
there you go.
How
about it? Ryan McCombs, lead singer on Bodies.
There we go.
On that song. Huge Browns fan. I've had a correspondence with him going back probably like 6 or 7 years through Facebook.
Okay.
And
great song.
Great song. Yeah. And
what's the band?
It is the band. So he was in Soil. It's Drowning Pool.
Drowning Pool.
Is
That's
the
what I
band.
thought. Drowning
Yeah,
Pool.
and
Yep.
he's back with them. Been back with them since 2023.
Yeah,
so there you go. There's your matchup. Elk & Elk Serious Lawyers, serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case for you. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. We'll do the Fantasy Minute coming up next. The mailbag to follow. Go ahead.
Worst notes in the business. Cincinnati Bengals.
Be better.
Look at this. Look at this. They just type. It's just nonstop typing.
Look at all that.
Hold on, watch. When you go to the positions.
Oh, my God. It's like a dictionary.
It's absurd. Worst in the business. They don't even bother to
Look
update
at that
their
one
player
right there.
profiles. Look at this page.
Show that.
Look at this. You see that?
I don't know if you can see it. That's
zoom in. You can see that. That's straight typing.
It's just all typing.
Small
Tiny,
font, hurting the eyes.
Not easy to find or use or anything.
You get a nugget like, let's see how I get the pronunciation right before I do. Dejan Anthony. made the Bengals 53-man roster coming out of his first training camp. He was lined up for 10 defensive snaps and 93 special team snaps through the first 6 games of the season. In week 4, he broke up a pass on a fake punt in the 3rd down, setting up the Bengals offense at the Carolina 35. He worked his way from Division II Shepherd University to Liberty University before finishing out his collegiate career at the University of Mississippi. His 3 interceptions last season tied for the Ole Miss team lead. I mean, Dejon Anthony's not going to play. 0 defensive snaps. Don't care.
Don't care. Fantasy Minute up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The future of recycling is here. Rumpke Waste Recycling leading the way. Their new $100 million recycling facility is North America's largest, most technologically advanced recycling center of its kind. It's built right here in Ohio. Learn more by visiting rumpke.com on that side of things. Time for your Fantasy Minute, presented by Scaleco, proud capital investment partner of your Cleveland Browns. Before we do that, did you see the Justin Fields availability today?
I just saw the quote that he said, because there are a couple stories that made the front page of ESPN today.
Yeah.
And on the right, the top headlines is about WNBA. Logo 3 has Liberty up 2-1. Titans cut safety Adams honoring his request. The third story, Fields, no Steelers quarterback debate if I play better.
So it's a very mature give and take and honest and all of it. And he says, if I play better, then we're not having this conversation, and I should have played better and left no doubt, and I didn't do that, and so forth. But what I think was interesting was I think he actually has.
I
think he's played well enough to where they're 4-2.
There's stuff clearly with Justin Fields that people on the outside who just observe him play football, it's one of those cases where whatever people in football feel about him compared to what we who see him and obviously what he does as a fantasy quarterback clouds our view of it, or perhaps we're right and they're just wrong, or somewhere in between both.
Yeah.
But he is perceived very differently in NFL buildings and circles than he is by you and I, for sure.
I tend to think the results are pretty good.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean,
offensive coordinator.
You're right.
He drives offensive coordinators crazy for some reason, for whatever it is.
There must be stuff that he just misses,
right?
And his athleticism and arm talent is such that he can make up for it enough to where there can be success. But someone has not been able to like lasso it and corral it so that it can be something that happens consistently.
Right.
But to me, I felt like maybe just give him a chance to get there. He's got 6 starts.
Well,
they're 4-2.
I just don't. Right. I mean, to me, he could have been
like their long-term guy.
Absolutely.
And now I don't see any scenario how he's back next year.
If I were him, I would not be back. Now, what I guess is going to happen is Russ is going to play and play poorly, and then they'll go back to him, and then we'll see how it plays out. But then their schedule gets brutally tough.
Right. Yeah, it's strange.
It's very strange. By the way, the other story on the top headline, so Fields was number 3. Checking in at number 6, Jet superfan fireman Ed, quote, team phasing me out.
How does that even happen? How are they phasing him out? What are you talking about?
I don't know exactly what's going on.
Are they limiting firemen?
But they're phasing us out, he said in a video posted to his Instagram account. I'd like to know if somebody knows anything. Please let me know because it's evident it's happening and it needs to stop because we need home field advantage.
Oh my gosh.
Anzalone fireman Ed, best known for his trademark firefighter helmet, his role in fueling the famous JETS chant, said he's noticed the lack of screen time during the Jets' Week 4 loss to the Denver Broncos and Monday's loss to the Buffalo Bills. Last night in particular, although the Denver game also, last night in particular, we scored a touchdown, and normally as a tradition, we are always put on the screen, he said, referring to himself and 2 other Jets superfans. We do the Jet chant to get the crowd going, which is a staple in Jet Life Stadium. He noted that he also traditionally incites the crowd when the Jets are on defense, which he added was the most important, before saying that something was going on with the organization's production team that oversees the video boards. Something is going on, so please let me know if you know something.
Okay, so I thought,
blame Jordan. Actually, Gabe just said it. It's Jordan's fault. Jordan left.
And then that changed
now
everything.
This is...
I thought you were
it.
saying that I understood as you were saying like he wasn't on like the national television feed enough, but it's the in arena.
Yeah, no, he's saying the Jets are phasing
him out in the building.
And he's fireman Ed.
Oh, did he say something that would upset Woody Johnson? Somewhere
he doesn't.
See, here's the thing: in the old days in the superfan world, that whole thing.
GM Aaron Rodgers not pleased.
In the old days, in the superfan era, they did not have a voice. They weren't on social. They weren't on Instagram or Snap or whatever. So, like, they just would show up at games and be super fans. Well, now they're talking on all these things.
I think a great reality show would be, like, pick the 10 biggest super fans in the world, or 12, whatever it is, and get them to live under one roof together.
In costume?
No, however, just as
normal.
they are.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fascinating because there's a lot going on, I would imagine.
There's a lot of choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready for the Fantasy Minute?
Put them all on the Traders. That would be a great show. You ever watch Traders? Oh, my God, so good.
Good.
Oh.
You watch Industry? Is that show good?
No, but I want to watch Penguin. I've heard that's great. The episode 4 of Penguin is supposedly one of the highest rated television episodes ever.
Huh. I don't know if I can do it without the Batman.
I've heard it's great.
I think you got to have a Batman in this stuff, or I'm not. That's how I felt with the Joker stuff. Like, why do I need a Joker? Give me, if we don't have a Cape Crusader, what are we doing?
I'm just telling you what I'm telling you.
All right, yeah. Colin,
have you watched Bad Monkey yet?
No.
Stop it! Come on,
dude. I haven't really had a chance to watch anything with all the baseball stuff.
Yeah,
I can't even remember Bad Monkey. I forgot the context of that.
Vince Vaughn.
Oh yeah. That's because I don't have Apple. I don't have Apple TV, so I got to pay for another subscription to do that. There's a bunch of stuff on Apple TV I need to see.
It's pretty good.
The World War II flight guys. I got to see this.
Worth it. Worth it. I bet you can get a
I think
free
there's
trial.
a show called,
I bet you can get a
but then
free
I
trial.
forget, and then 2 years later I'm paying $72 a month.
No,
because
it's not that much.
But it will be.
But
Everybody
not now.
says
So you've
it
never
all-
seen Ted Lasso?
No, never seen Ted Lasso. It always
man.
starts at like $4.99 a month, and then by the time
Yeah.
you forget it, and then it's $36 a month.
Yeah, they figured out when we cut the cord, we're all like, this is genius. We're going to save so much money.
No.
No, now it's...
All sucks.
Although I do love YouTube TV. It's
I know you do.
unbelievable.
I know you do. I like. You're behind though me when you and I are texting. You're always behind me on the YouTube TV.
What are you going to
We're
do?
watching the games. All right,
YouTube TV has built-in picture, like built-in.
Yeah,
both
that
games.
would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah. I can even now. I figured out how to get on Mondays the regular and the Manning cast broadcast, so like I can quickly zip when I want to.
Don't they pick the games you watch though?
They
In the
do, but
quad
they
box?
have basically every single combination.
Okay.
This game, and red zone. This game, 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 and red zone. Yeah, dude.
Can you just give me one fantasy note for this week? You don't have to go through everybody. Is this just one big picture?
One big
note?
picture fantasy note?
Yep. One big picture fantasy note for this week.
I like that. Hold on.
A lot of big buys this week. Half my team's off this week.
And running backs are hurt, so I'll just kind of focus on like guys that you need to pick up that might be if they're still out there on the waiver wires.
Yeah.
From a running back perspective, given all the things that are going on right now. Tank Bigsby, Ray Davis, Bucky Irving, Ty Chandler, Isaac Guerrero, Sean Tucker. I think his name is Sean Tucker. Let me see. Feels like he should be a Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker. These are people who can. Dearness Johnson, at this point, can help your team. And once you get through your bye weeks, what you want to do is all the people that are getting cut that are one play away from having major roles, guys like I've seen Zach Charbonnet get cut in leagues.
Mm-hmm.
You want him in case Kenneth Walker gets hurt, and he has with great frequency. This is where you go. Jonathan Brooks just has opened up his 21-day window. Go give him a look from Carolina. Trey Benson in Arizona. Braylon Allen with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
If Breece Hall were to get hurt, he would be a fantasy stud. So it is a murderer's row out there at the running back position right now. It is tough. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's banged up.
Yes, they are. Good job out of you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted. That type of big picture advice.
There you go.
Elk and Elk,
Got it.
serious lawyers, serious injuries. 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Little mailbag coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Are you ready to give your home the facelift it deserves at Renew Home Exteriors? They've got the deal that you've been waiting for. In fact, right now, no money down, get 0% interest for 5 years on all roofing and siding jobs. So here's what you do. You combine that roofing and siding project, and Renew's going to take an additional 5% off. That's right. No money down, 0% interest for 5 years, 5% off when you knock off both jobs at once. Don't wait. Upgrade your home and say big with Renew Home Exteriors. Visit RenewEstimate.com to book today. Renew Home Exteriors, superior products, and superior service. Time now for the mailbag presented by the Cross Country Mortgage Company, official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns when it comes to financing. They're always going to get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029. Andrew Siciliano.
Hey, guys.
In studio, not on a beach walk.
Good to see you. We can go find the water here.
Like
you can.
Got beaches?
Yeah.
We got beaches. We got beaches. You can surf.
Yeah. Go down, run some laps at Burke later. Yeah, it'll be great.
Be amazing if they just closed Burke for you to run. Excuse me.
Sorry.
We got to stop the one flight that's coming in today.
Flight is delayed, Siciliano.
The one flight that's coming in today.
It's good to see you both.
Good to see you, man.
In person, buddy.
I've had the joy of seeing him every weekend.
Yeah. All right. It is joy.
How are you? How are you?
I mean, meeting.
I don't even know.
Yeah. Joy from meeting.
What's wrong, Gibby?
Gibby.
Every day, it's just a marathon, man.
It's a sprint, dog.
No,
look, we're already to Thursday.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Think how much First
We're
Friday
on
helped
remote
you
tonight.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Dude, we've got
I'll
Bo Nix.
Chubbies.
We got Bo Nix against Spencer Rattler tonight.
You got Gardos at 4.
Gardos.
You have the Senior Bowl tonight.
Is that? You said that emphatically.
We called. NFL Network. I used to be there. This was the starting quarterback matchup, if memory serves, for the Senior Bowl.
Was it really?
Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler.
See?
Yeah.
There you go.
Who knew that we'd get it in prime time by mid-October?
In
Sean
week
Payton
7.
homecoming. Yeah.
Listen, Bo Nix is the sign, so.
He is the sign. That's huge. Original university for Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler. Anyone?
Bo Nix was Auburn.
For Bo.
Yeah, and Spencer Rattler was Oklahoma, right?
Good job.
Or did he go somewhere before Oklahoma?
No, OU.
No, okay.
Yeah.
OU. Patrick Nix, Bo's dad, was an Auburn legend.
It's sad everybody jumped in for college football. Nate could chime in.
Yeah,
there.
just college football. Nate had
it.
that was too easy.
Yeah,
too easy.
Can you give me Pat Nix's Alabama high school coaching tree? Because I can't, but maybe he can. I thought college football Nate.
The only
Alabama
you're
talking high school.
Only Alabama high school I know is Hoover. Is the only one I know.
Yeah, well, his dad's a high school legend in Alabama.
Yeah,
that's all I get.
His dad was great at Auburn.
Is his dad a bigger high school playing legend or coaching legend?
Coaching legend, but obviously Auburn.
Is he a bigger high school coaching legend than Pet's dad was in Pennsylvania? Or are they on par?
So I don't know how many people out there
Great question.
watch that. You've seen it obviously because when we hired Pet, I'm sure you saw
yeah.
it. But like there was an MTV series, much like there was one on Hoover, Alabama called Two-A-Days, which was great.
Great.
But there was also one that they did on Pet's dad at Central Bucks West.
Yep.
And Pet was at North Penn, I think. I want to say that was the name of it. And his dad was ruthless.
Ruthless against him.
Ruthless. Yeah. With Central Bucks West.
But he's Pet's dad is
legend. Yeah, legendary.
So I was just
school.
wondering if this was a legend on par.
I cannot compare.
Okay.
I do not know.
Both legends.
I do know that it's mailbag time, and you can tweet your questions to @Browns_daily, baptizing Siciliano today in the mailbag. What's going on with Bobby?
I don't know. I hope
Work stresses. Bobby, we're here for you. We love you.
Hey,
Bobby.
He's the best.
Great
Bobby.
guy. Big
He's the
supporter of my professional wrestling career.
Let
Also,
me give you one piece of
got a
advice.
ZWO
big supporter
shirt.
of Friday Night Football and the experiences. There it is, the ZWO.
That's right,
there it is.
baby.
Good job. Yeah, we love Bobby.
Yep.
We love him.
All right.
Hey, Bobby.
Um,
Apparently there's some news, Gibby.
Bobby, I'm just going to
not
tell
saying
you
anything.
that the bottom right-hand drawer, Jameson, a couple glasses, it'll get you through the day. Like, if you can't, like, if he's having a bad day, he's having a bad day at work. Like,
That's not the solution, dude.
Huh?
Whiskey is not the
Guys gotta
solution.
drive home.
Yeah, come on, Gibby.
You're just having a little shooter.
We're just going to give him love. That's what we're going to do. We're going to help Bobby with
I'm just
love.
saying, like, this helps you. You never know.
Gibby, let's not forget that you're not allowed in Canada.
I'm not allowed where?
In Canada.
Among other
so-
I am allowed in Canada.
Well, there was a
Sorry.
time. Was there a time?
Is this a Jason Gibbs? I'm sorry, our borders are closed.
Borders.
No, that was not me.
Oh, it was
That
your buddy. Okay.
That was one of the
Well, you
college
probably
roommates.
shouldn't be allowed in Canada.
This is what you get when you're on
Mock.
the mailbag. You get a Browns therapy, 3 amigos.
Am I Dustin Hoffman in this equation?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
I think it looks like I'm Martin, and it looks like he's Chase.
No, actually, I was good. Yeah, I'm not Dustin Hoffman. I'm Martin Short in this.
Yes,
Clearly, I'd have to
I
be
think
Martin
that's
Short.
the way it's set
Martin
up.
Short.
Yes.
Tremendous actor.
One of the greatest movies of all time, by the
It's
way.
a great
Yeah.
I wonder if it'd hold up for the boys.
It has to.
Jefe, hold up your hat.
The infamous El Guapo. He's
The
so
infamous El
famous.
Guapo?
He's
Infamous.
infamous.
Would you say that I have a plethora of piñatas?
So good.
I would.
Jefe, do you know what a plethora is?
F.A. So good.
Sorry. Give me.
You're good. I wasn't getting in the way of that. Trey Carey tweets at the show, favorite Nick Chubb highlight, college or pro? I have no idea about the college stuff. Pro. Anybody, go.
Favorite what?
Favorite Nick Chubb highlight or play?
I mean, the Donovan Deke, he's running to the river.
Yeah.
In Cincinnati?
And then Deke going,
Yeah.
is he in the river? He's in the river.
Yeah, that was good.
That one was good.
What was the
one against Atlanta where he went like the longest run in Cleveland Browns history, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who did he slam to the turf with a right hand to the side of their
It was
helmet?
an Eagles. It was the
Kobe.
Eagles.
Yeah.
It was
And then he
definitely
went
an
out of
Eagle.
bounds.
Yeah.
That was fairly impressive.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's so much.
So much.
Nick Chubb, wonderful.
Browns Therapy tweets at the show, Bo, what Halloween costumes are the boys wearing this year?
Bootsy, 2 days ago, he's been really into the Smokey and the Bandit, and he goes, I think I want to be the Bandit, Dad. And I just pull over the car and I started crying, and I hugged him and I said,
That's amazing.
I said, you're getting all the money.
Was this before or after the Costco thing?
This was
Hold on a
after.
second.
He's on a heater now for many days in a row.
But hasn't he come back with a new request?
Well, so about a month ago, he said, I want to be you for Halloween. And I said, even more money coming your way.
You or Nathan? You.
Me.
Okay, I
That's
know
also
if you're
a very
looking at
I'm his spirit animal.
I'm
He's
sorry,
my
I was
spirit animal.
looking down.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
missed if
No,
there
we're-
had been a
we're
hand
homies.
gesture.
And then, but then I think he was settling on Tigger, which was kind of out of nowhere.
Also cool.
So
Adorable costume.
lovable. Yeah, I think what it'll come down to is he's been Maverick, which was a huge hit. And he was
Amazing.
a big hit as top.
Tell him
like
save
3 or
those
4 years
pictures
ago.
because those pictures might get him in the back of a Blue Angel someday. Because that's pictures.
That's true.
That
That's right. That's what did it.
Helped that cause.
That's what did it. Yeah. So I don't know. I think he's going to go. Right now, I think he's leaning Tigger. His problem with being Burt Reynolds was he was fearful that his buddies wouldn't know what it is, and I said I think that's fair. That's
That
fair. I
is
said your
true.
teachers will love it.
Yeah.
Every
Well, they
adult
might
will
not even
love
know.
you.
They might be too
Yeah,
young.
they might be too young. But I get him a mustache and a cat and a hat, and we do a little chest
Amazing.
hair. I think that's.
I
a
just
win.
came across a Burt Reynolds and Mark Summers.
That's unbelievable. That's on Johnny Carson or
Leno.
Letterman. Leno. Yeah, that's late Reynolds. That's when he's like on Evening Shade.
And he
Not having it.
dumped a drink on him, and then Mark Summers tried to get a drink to dump back on him, and he smacked it out of his hand all over Mark Summers. And then Mark Summers at that point was kind of like,
I think so.
okay, I don't want any of this smoke.
When I was down in Tallahassee, I got to know him a little bit because he taught a class at Florida State.
That's amazing.
Burt Reynolds taught a class.
That's right. It was a once-a-week class that he would teach, and they have a theater department, and he would come to every Florida State home game. And so I would see him on the sidelines and talk to him, and we'd interview him a lot. And he was everything that you would want Burt Reynolds to be.
I bet.
Now, I was fearful because there had been a lot of work done towards the end for Burt Reynolds. So I was fearful I didn't want to like brush up against him for fear that things wouldn't come back.
Yeah, right.
But boy, he was everything you'd want Burt Reynolds to be.
I mean, Mark Summers is terrified.
Yeah,
I mean, I was like, I've lost control of the
He
show.
was a starting running back at Florida State. Like he's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love a dog today. And we'll start with you, Mr. Siciliano, with the upcoming Rock Hall festivities this weekend and this week's game. By the way, Foreigner's performing at halftime.
Fantastic.
How about that? Would you rather be a pro athlete or a musician?
That's a tough one. I'd probably, well, it depends. Like a good musician?
Yeah,
I think
be
there's-
elite.
yeah.
You can be as good.
You're not being a
elite.
lounge lizard. I think you're
Okay.
rock star.
You're a rock
a
star.
rock star or an athlete.
I think it's pretty easy.
I think I'm going to lean rock star.
That's the correct answer.
I think I'm going to lean rock star. Now that said, I still have daydreams about starting at second base for the Guardians because that was as a kid what I wanted to do. But I think rock star.
Oh,
that
you
would
can
help.
do it forever.
That
I
would
mean,
be a
it's-
nice life. You could go for. The Rolling Stones are, for all
Yes.
intents and purposes. They remember the Dead shirt with the skeletons.
Yeah.
That's the Stones on stage
That's
right
right.
now.
That's
and
right.
they're still going.
Here's.
I know where you're going to go.
I might be giving this too much thought.
Yeah.
But I think that you can be a megastar athlete, and right now I would have. And plus, I like to compete. So like,
Isn't every concert a competition?
Is it though? Is Taylor Swift who's she competing with? She's dominating.
You don't
you
want
just
And I have
win
no
every
problem.
night.
I
You
have
just
no
win
problem
every
making
night.
$12 million a night per concert.
Yeah.
But
I have no problem doing that either.
I think that we've reached an era, and this may surprise you what sport I'm going to pick here, but in the world of professional golf, where you don't have to play
knew
that
that's where
much,
you're gonna go,
That's a
yeah.
good call.
you make hundreds of millions of dollars. If I'm talking, I'm the best. Okay.
Do you think that'll
I'm
still
flying
be the
in
case?
Pages. I'm playing golf with my boys, and I'm having the time of my life. That right now, being the best professional golfer on the planet today, is got to be so much fun.
That's a good call.
I wonder if that will be the case 5 years from now.
I don't know,
as
but
those,
we're saying
both of those
right
tours
now.
are. Yeah, I think it's still musician. I think it's.
Now, if
It
you
depends
said
on
to
kind of
me,
life you want to live.
Well, here's
do
the
whatever
thing,
you
too.
want to do forever.
It's the
you
time
can still
of
do
it.
all the golf. You can do all that you wanted to do.
It's the timing of it too. Like if we're talking 80s, I absolutely want to be a rock star.
Yeah, are you young and single as the rock star?
Yes, you're whatever you want.
Or are you?
Yeah, you do whatever you want.
Okay,
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, you're Mick,
Yeah.
you use Mick Jagger.
You'll probably
you do
be
that.
the rock star.
Yeah.
I think that's right. I knew you were going to go golf, and I think you make.
I would be a
compelling
golf
case.
who also dabbled in professional wrestling because now it's a lot easier to be a dabbler. I can just come in and headline
Hell
some
of a
WrestleManias. Oh man!
Hey, the PIF job's open. Norman's out. New CEO. They need one.
There you go.
I mean, I think
I
my
think they're
case
going,
for being a
hey-
sports czar is well
Hey,
documented.
Greg. 112,000 people are watching this in the United States.
Yeah.
What happened, brother? That's probably how that conversation went.
Ohio resident tweets at the show. Who wins
then-
in a 3-point
Good day.
shootout?
And then a lot.
Z, Bo, Siciliano.
In
or
a what?
Gibby? 3-point shootout.
Not
Today
me.
or at the peak of my powers?
Not me.
Dude,
I'll
I was
go
all
peak.
state. I'll make it rain. There's no question.
I would expect you to say nothing less. Do you think there's any chance I'm not taking myself? No way. Of course I'm.
I used to be the little kid in the park that could hang in the corner and knock a few down, but I'm not going to beat
I used
anyone
to-
with any legit level.
You're
of
still
ability.
shooting a
I'm
basketball.
shooting. Yeah,
I'm not. So if you're
shooting
saying
every
it's
weekend,
today,
I'm shooting every week.
I'll take
I'm
you.
playing the boys every weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm
if
still.
I'm in my 20s,
Yeah.
absolutely. Take
I used to
myself.
shoot in like well after dusk in the drive. I mean, they couldn't get me in from the driveway, but it didn't mean I was any good.
Yeah. No, I could score the basketball.
Direct
You could
quote
score-
from NBC last weekend. Do you ever miss? No.
No, buddy. I don't.
No, I
Thanks for
don't.
playing, kid.
We'll see you next weekend, buddy.
Yep. You think you're there, but you're not quite
Not
there.
yet.
Not yet.
Sandlot, right?
I don't know
That's
sports movies.
I've heard two of the most
That
shocking
is
things.
I
the
don't-
most shocking out of.
No.
out
Hold
of
on.
Andrew
I
Siciliano's
By the
I
way-
don't really like sports movies.
He told me that about the time you said you've never seen Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
I've never seen Ted Lasso.
No, I
So,
haven't either.
but and then I went on to say Ted Lasso is one of the
Have you
greatest shows
seen
of all
Brown's
time,
Therapy?
and I didn't want to like it nor watch it because I don't like sports movies. But after watching it,
You don't like Major League?
No, Major League. That's the exception.
Okay.
Major League is one of the greatest films of all time. It's right up there with On the Waterfront and Raging Bull.
Okay.
The other sports movies I can't stand.
So you
Are we sure On the Waterfront is great?
No, I've never seen it. But you get my point. In terms of film
I'm with
history,
you.
it's on the list.
I think
never
it's the
even heard-
greatest sports. I think there are two great. You got to have emotional sports movies, or you got to have fun sports movies. And Major League's the
Remember
best
the
fun sports
Titans?
movie ever. But that's emotional.
right, but I'm saying
Yeah, there's so many great sports.
Like I
The
saw
program?
the natural
the program. Tim
on.
Cup
Varsity
Blue Chips?
Blues?
Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues.
Any given Sunday.
Whipped cream.
The Varsity Blues I liked, yes,
on.
but maybe
Come
for
on.
different reasons.
on.
Go ahead, list them.
Hey,
I haven't
hey,
seen
hey,
half the
hey,
ones you
come on,
listed.
come on,
I haven't
come
seen
on.
half the ones you listed.
All right.
That's that
That's
addition
another
is as
show.
shocking as Brent Rossi's lack of musical knowledge
Never heard of
outside
Tribe.
of a particular
Never
genre.
heard Tribe Called Quest.
No. He didn't know any of the songs performed.
We have
at the Snoop.
By the way, that
Snoop,
warm-up
Dre,
hour
Eminem
in Philly
halftime
was
show.
unreal.
Didn't know any of it.
Best I've heard.
Said he didn't know any of the music played at the Super Bowl at SoFi. Like, didn't know the songs. And Gibby and Nathan pushed, like, wait a minute, like, didn't know the lyrics.
Or never heard of them.
And it was more that than the former.
I was like, wait a second, what are we talking about?
I don't even know how you could get.
Yeah, we had a
through
great. Was it the
adolescence.
pregame in Philly? We're
Yes.
like, Brent doesn't know any of these
because we had dinner the night
None.
before, and I'm a massive Tribe Called Quest fan. I actually dug up. I texted Matt again. I dug up my 1993 Tribe Called Quest ticket stub. Saw them at the gym at Colgate. Drove down
Wow.
from Syracuse. 1993.
A Donald Foyle, right?
A Donald Foyle court.
at
Not
his
really.
best. Yeah.
But yeah,
Should be.
exactly.
All right, so much more to come.
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Join Nathan and Gerard tonight, 7-8 Slim and Chubby's Prospect Road in Strongsville. Kevin Stefanski's show. Swing by and meet Dustin Hopkins, courtesy of Bud Light. Coach Jones, the guys as well, and they'll get you ready for us against the Stripes.
Broncos Saints.
Football. Go ahead, get back.
Thursday night football. Go quick.
Broncos billion.
In honor of Siciliano, Broncos ram it.
Go Cards. We're back tomorrow.
I'm going to take the Broncos. Bye.
Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.